Leta. Where is it actually? Oh, we need to be playing against flying. Okay. But before I do anything, I need to find this picture. Oh, there it is. Look, this is in fact a very well done portrait of Leta by the lovely Kiet. So I'll just let that sink in for you guys a little bit. So, going in, it's game number 1. I gave CJ the little star thing. It's going to be a TVP. And sure, Protein Clock, you can actually link the video in case people become very confused by that image. Looks like game number 1 is going to be on Entombed Valley. And I wonder if I need to change aspect ratio again. I probably will need to once the game starts. Leta, looking quite serious actually. It's not his usual smiling backflipping self. And my brother is now wide awake, awakened by the cries of Leta. Wait, actually that sounded kind of weird. Okay, hold on, it's not what you think. Yeah, so anyway. If you hear random noises, that's what that is. Alright, going into the game, and looks like I do actually need to change the aspect ratio. Nice. This looks a bit fat to me. Oh well. In the bottom left is the red Terran. We do have Leta, who's going to be all stretched now because I had to change the resolution, or aspect ratio rather. And at the top right, as the blue Protoss, we will have Flying. So, cross positions, PVT. Now, let's see, Leta, I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 games of his. I didn't watch his games at MLG. So actually, I'm still not 100% sure how good he is. Actually, what was the last game he played in Pro League? Oh, he played against Bisu in week 2 and took out Bisu. Oh. I actually don't remember that game though. Oh well. Oh yeah, he killed Bisu with a 1-1-1. Is that right? Yeah. Someone just said 1-1 in the chat. Maybe they weren't referring to that, but I assume that's what happened. But well, I guess we'll see what he does this game. He's walling himself in, as usual. And looks like Probe Scout going out now for what's his face? Flying. Gonna go scout vertically. Gas going down, all good. Oh, apparently he did a 1-1-1 on this map in cross positions. Ah. Cool. And it looks like we do actually have a gas from Leta, so it could definitely still be doing a 1-1-1 here. It's not going to be the standard 1-rack expand from him. No sir, that would be far too boring for Leta. Now to be fair, in Broodwalk he did also do silly drop shenanigans and whatnot. You know, wasn't a very kind of solid, you know, FD into a, into fast expand, into like, you know, turtle up Terran. He was a very tricksy player, very well known for his 2-port wraiths in TBZ, in fact, and doing all sorts of crazy things in the other matchups. So, looks like core is on the way, and SEV. Oh! Look at this. What do we have here? Proxy Factory. Now, I assume. Okay. Here's what happened. Leta didn't check the top left. So of course, if this was a ladder game, the Protoss, upon seeing this replay, would immediately be like, "Oh my God, he's a map hacker!" and like post it in that map hacker thread. He'd be like posting Leta replays in the NA map hacker thread. It's like, dude, this guy doesn't even play on North America. But actually, what's happened is Leta knew from the timing when the probe reached his wall that his opponent was most likely cross map. I believe that is how he's determined this. I also wasn't quite paying attention, so something else may have happened, but I believe that's what's happened here. So he's immediately gone to the top right, gone to proxy some stuff. at the third there, and he is in fact going for a 1-1-1 with the factory and the starport proxied. There's absolutely no way for flying to really suspect anything. I mean, he didn't even get into the main anyway, so like there's a wall there. So he's gonna come in here with his zealot and his stalker, doing the very standard zealot stalker poke. But he's not going to see anything special. He's going to see like 4 Marines. He might get a bit suspicious by the fact that Leta hasn't moved down his ramp yet to take his natural. So I mean, just judging from this, he doesn't know exactly what's behind the wall, but he knows that it's not like the normal fast 1-racks expand build. So gonna have to be a little bit careful now. But as the observer showing us, he hasn't really seen anything in particular. Has just gone for the standard 1-gate expand himself, adding on his additional 2 gateways now. Now, what exactly is this 1-1-1 going to be? Is it going to be okay? Looks like it's going to be a Hellion drop actually, and this is actually very interesting. This is just like exactly how like Leta would play a Brood Org PvT or TVP rather, going for this. Or I guess the Brood Org equivalent would obviously be the Vulture drop. Leta instead going for the Hellion drop. And he's going to go in with just 3 Hellions, not going to wait for a 4th one, and this could be very effective here. There's not that many Protoss units on the map, only 1 Stalker, and I think it's a little bit, it might be at the natural, and here go the Hellions, they're moving into the middle line, slow reaction time from the Protoss. We're going to buffer it into no probes left here. And no, looks like there is 1 sentry as well, going to force field the left side of the mineral patch, going to block the Hellions from actually taking the probes, and oh, nice warp-in with the Stalkers! He traps the Hellions with a Stalker warp-in here. The Hellions have not done very much damage so far. They're going to try and chase the probes. Should they go down to the natural? No, they're not going down to the natural. Instead, they're actually just going to kill like 2 probes. Oh my goodness, that was possibly the least effective Hellion drop I've ever seen. Okay, actually maybe it's not that bad. He killed 7 workers. Okay, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. He killed 7 workers. But could definitely have done a little more there. I think flying should definitely be happy with that result. And now Leta is going to fly his starport all the way back home. He's going to lift his factory. Probably can just leave the factory there and use it to block the 3rd later on. Doesn't actually need that in his base unless he's doing some kind of weird mech build or something. Well, not weird, but unless he is meching, rather. But no, he's just adding on more barracks now, adding on a command center. But I really don't think that was worth it. I don't think that was worth it at all. I mean, the Protoss now, he has 2 Nexus already. He can, mass produce those probes easily, replace them. He's got his robo up as well. It's actually rallied his observer to go and look for that proxy, because obviously he knows it must be some kind of proxy there, how fast that came in the direction. Meanwhile, Leta, though, I like how he's keeping the Marines in the middle here, in that little bushy area there. Out of vision. What do you even call this area? He's inside the vision blocking thingamajig. That's what it is. Alright, I think that's an apt description of what's going on here. And he does have a medevac with those Marines. So if any like random stalker or probe runs over to try and take the watchtower, they'll immediately get sniped by those Marines. Line of sight blockers. Alright. He's inside the line of sight blocker ring thingy. Yeah. Pretty good at describing things, guys. I guess that's why I'm a commentator. Anyway, so far only Marines out for Leta. Oh, now making a couple of Marauders. He's got Stim and Combat Shields on the way with those double tech labs. But just 3 barracks producing. Of course, his natural was a little bit late, so it's not like he has that much money anyway. And we're not seeing anything interesting here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, a robotics bay for flying. So he's going to go for Colossus off 2 base. Now, is he going to try and hit some kind of 2 base timing here to punish the fact that Leta's early drop didn't really do too much? Or is he just gonna kind of use them defensively and just kind of use them to help safely take and expand? I feel like he might be going for some kind of timing here. Generally nowadays, I think the double forge opening into like charge lots and Templar is more popular and is more oriented towards the late game. Whereas I think Colossus openings less so. Like they're a lot less popular than they used to be, at least. I'm not sure why. I like going Colossus, but I think it's just because I don't know how to double forge. I think it's partly just because like how flexible Terran is with like the reactor starport. They're like, oh, you're going Colossus, alright, I'll just add some Vikings, and then he's kind of okay. Anyway, the observer's going to run around here. He's going to check what's going on in the main, going to check if there is in fact a 3rd base yet. And he's going to see nothing there. He's going to see an SCV though, and probably actually get here just as the command center is planted. Yeah, look at that. Nice timing from that observer. I don't know if that was intentional or just kind of a little bit lucky. But in the meantime, the Terran army is going to move forward here just to apply a little bit of pressure. And it looks like we do have double forges going down, so it is just going to be a more defensive Colossus. He's not going to try and just do a 2-base all-in here. He is aiming for the late game with those double forges, obviously, but he's going to be a little bit careful here. He doesn't have a Colossus just yet. He has one Immortal and a lot of Zealots, which will do quite nicely, but he's got to get really good force fields if he wants to hold this without a Colossus there. But no, now he has a Colossus, and that's going to push the Terran army back. Of course, with mass Marines in that composition, you don't really want to be engaging a Colossus. And it looks like he's actually going to chase here. I don't know if this is the best idea. This feels a little bit risky to run out into open ground here. He does only have 3 sentries, which is not that many force fields. Even with max energy, he will run out of force fields relatively quickly. So, and you know, also he wants to be using Guardian Shield with all those Marines there. So he does have to doesn't want to move out too far. So he's just gonna kill the rocks there, make a Nexus. I think Leta should have actually landed that factory there to block it at least. Oh, just as I say it, look at that. Oh, he's gonna get it. Oh, he does get it. Wow, Leta heard me through time and space. Clearly, Leta and I are fated to be together. You know, if he can hear me all the way from my apartment. See, he's even the soundproof booths cannot keep us apart. Our hearts are connected. Isn't it wonderful and romantic? Anyway, scan going down on the army. Just gonna see the composition there. See exactly how much stronger that Protoss army is compared to the Terran army. But this is quite interesting because, I mean, in a straight-up fight, I'm pretty sure that Protoss army would demolish the Terran. But because Leta is being very active and like putting the pressure on, he's allowing himself to safely take a 3rd base. Without, you know, being too scared of an attack. Now adding on some more Colossi, he does have another star. Actually, no, I think that's just his initial starport at his natural. It's just in a funny location because he proxied it initially, so he just only floated it back to his natural rather than all the way into his main. Meanwhile, +1/+1 is almost done for the Protoss, and charge is on the way as well as the Templar Archives. And his 3rd base is going to be finished just a little bit behind the Terran's 3rd. He should start his 2-2 pretty quickly here, probably just waiting on the resources to do so, adding on a couple of High Templar first, adding on 5 more gateways now. He's been on 3 warp gates this entire time, which is definitely a little bit... Well, I mean, he does actually have an okay number of units, but he does have to play defensively. He's been investing a lot of money, obviously, in the tech, in the upgrades. And actually, he's only gotten 1 Colossi. Now that I look at this, he invested in only 1 Colossi, and I wonder if that was a bit of a fake. So he went for the Colossi tech, he got 1 Colossus, but I don't even know if he necessarily got extended thermal lance. I feel like he shouldn't have. And instead, he just got 1 Colossi to kind of keep Leta back and scare him a little bit, make him force some Vikings out, and then actually just switch straight into the double forge plus High Templar style, and that's quite an intelligent thing to do. But Leta didn't actually overmake Vikings here. As you can see, he's only got 3 Vikings, so it's not actually the biggest deal for him. But it did kind of, I guess, well, I assume it threw him off a little bit here. Meanwhile, the Stalkers are moving out. They're going to get caught, though. They've got to be careful. They do not have Blink as far as I know, so, you know, if they get hit by a Marauder shot, a concussive shell, then, you know, they'll be kind of screwed. Meanwhile, we do have a 4th and 5th Viking out, though. Still only 1 Colossus, though, so I feel like that's a bit much. Meanwhile, we do have the Ghost Academy up already. I believe that is the energy upgrade for them. In there now. Yep, looks like it is. And +1 attack for Era, I believe, as well, for those Vikings, even though it's really not necessary. Although, having said that, another Colossus is in production, so it looks like now that the Templar are already out, flying is starting to add on more Colossus. You know, just going up to that super strong late game Protoss composition of Templars plus Colossus plus all the ground units supporting there. Just a super difficult composition for the Terran to deal with, even if they have good EMPs and whatnot. That's why the Terrans are all QQing about late game PBT. Although I do agree that the late game Protoss army is pretty damn good. Anyway, I don't know what tab that is. Is that like, oh, I think that might be like the army tab. So blue flag is actually pretty close in the army supply. And, well, it looks like actually flying is going to move back here, just going to go for a 4th. Cleared out the Marine that was there. And Leta going to go for a 4th as well. Alright, so both players content to just macro up, go to a long game here. Leta, though, I mean, he's, you know, even though going to a late game, you know, I like it when players go for a late game and, you know, don't do any kind of silly all-ins, but I feel like as a Terran player, Leta kind of should be putting on a little bit more pressure here, like doing some drops or something. Like, ever since that Hellion drop, Leta has not harassed or attacked the Protoss once the entire game. Alright, like he did put on a little bit of pressure at the front, so I guess you could argue that because he was using his army to pressure the front, he didn't have the time or resources to go for a drop. But I mean, if you're not going to damage the Protoss at all and let him go to the late game with his maxed upgrades, his sick Templar Colossus army composition, you can't really complain too much when he kind of steamrolls you in the 200-200 fight. I mean, Terran with their medevacs and stuff should really kind of be dropping and doing little bits of damage here and there. Because once it does go to super late game, I think it's going to be quite difficult for Leta to win unless he has like some magical EMPs or something. Anyway, nice feedback on that medevac, and a storm will clean up the Marines there. I think that was a bit of overkill, in fact. The rest of the army was already there with the Colossus. Probably could have just saved the storm there or something, but I mean, it's not a big deal. I am just nitpicking. Anyway, it's a lot of Zealots in that composition. I wonder if it might be better to sack some supply and make some more Archons and Colossi. Is that actually still only one Colossi? Oh no, half the army might get caught here! Some of the units might get caught! A couple of Zealots gonna get caught! Can he grab the Immortal as well? I mean, that would have been nice if he managed to hit the Immortal with a concussive shell there and grab it. Okay, looks like there are actually two Colossi in this composition. But a very nice, well-rounded composition. There's actually two High Templar waiting at the natural. The Vikings trying to abuse this little gap here to snipe some Colossi, and the Mass Ghosts have cloaked. They're going in. There's the big stim on all the units. He's going in. He's very, very clumped, though. He's very, very clumped. He's got to get good EMPs off, or he's going to get stormed to bits. Looks like one EMP goes off on the Zealots. He needs to get those High Templars. There's actually not that many High Templar in this army, and looks like actually, for some reason, the Protoss army is just like in full retreat, just very scared of the Terran, and Flying just gives up that base without too much of a fight there. I think he was missing some High Templar in his army. He only like used one storm. I don't know if he got EMP'd or what, but I didn't even see that many High Templar in his composition. I think he had two at his natural. I think he might have just forgotten about them or something. Just left them there. And it looks like there was a counterattack against that planetary at the 6 o'clock, but obviously it's a planetary and it had SCVs repairing, so not going to do too much about that, or against that rather. Looks like Stalker's going to blink up here trying to pick off some Vikings, but actually the Terran army is trapped here now. The Protoss can force an engagement. The Templars are really far back though, and the army is all getting clogged up here. The Zealots stuck behind the Stalkers. The Colossus coming in at a bad angle. Huge storm though on the Terran army is going to be effective. It looks like Flying will be able to clean up this army despite the less than favorable engagement angle there, but huge EMPs going off on everything, going to take down all that Templar energy. They're just going to turn into Archons, and actually, wait a minute, might not be over just yet. A few Ghosts are remaining. I think you should actually just pick those up and run away though, because Ghosts are quite expensive. So I think that was actually a bit of a waste to engage there. He should have just picked up in the medevacs and run away. It looks like he is going to do that now, but actually he might just lose the medevac. The medevac is going to go down. Protoss takes down the rest of the Terran army, but it looks like a Nexus actually got killed there at some point during all of that chaos. So if we look at the supplies, 150 supply for the Terran against 135 for the Protoss. Terran with a slight supply advantage, but that doesn't mean too much given how strong the army composition right now is for the Protoss. Looks like a few damaged Vikings flying home. Are they going to get mass repaired? Would be an efficient thing to do, I guess. But the thing is, Flying also has a much bigger bank than Leta does for some reason. Like, if you look at the resources, Leta spent almost all his money. He's down to like 150 minerals, whereas Flying's up at like 2,000 minerals. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. It's a little bit of macro fail. Meanwhile, we actually do see a Warp Prism on the way, so gonna go for some Warp Prism harass here. Let's see, is he just gonna like drop Zealots in the main, or might go for some fancy Storm drops? I love seeing Storm drops. I'm actually quite sad that we don't see that many Storm drops in StarCraft 2 compared to in Brood War. I mean, there are some good reasons for it, like the High Templar, obviously they're expensive, you want them in your main army composition, and also the Storm just doesn't do as much damage as quickly, so if the opponent has good reaction time, he can actually save a lot of his workers. But I don't know, Storm drops just look so cool to me. And stream buffering is not as cool as Storm drops for sure. Please don't die. Alright, nobody attack while we're resuming. Nobody attack. Play. Go. Start. Yes. I swear to God, if it's just like GG, I'm gonna flip a table. Alright, we're starting. Woo! Okay, did the planetary die? I think we might have lost the planetary during the buffer. Alright, buffer into planetary isn't there anymore. That's cool, that's fine. We don't need planetaries. We're Protoss. Or I'm Protoss at least. Screw all you Terran players. Ha 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 ha. That is a lot of Archons, by the way. Now, even though that looks impressive, I feel like it's it's a bit of a mistake to overmake Archons, because obviously they're very susceptible to the EMPs, and the Terran's going to be adding a lot of ghosts in his late game composition. So like having 10 Archons in your army looks really cool, and you feel badass when you're moving around with all those Archons, but then you get EMP'd 18 times, and you're just like, oh well shit, my Archons have like 4 HP now. I guess they're kind of useless. And here we go, the EMP is going in, the Cloak Ghost moving in, a couple of good EMPs going off, the Bioforce falling up. I still don't see that many High Templars here, which really concerns me. There's 2 High Templars in the back, he better get some money storms off. But either way, I mean, having killed that Planetary though, it does seem that Leta is a bit forced into an engagement, although the Ghost might get caught here, and can he EMP something? Where are the EMPs? Not that many EMPs going off. I don't know why he's not EMPing more. And it looks like, wait, did that storm just go off on the Protoss army? Or was that like an EMP? I'm a little bit confused. But oh, nice storm there on the Bio Ball. Is there going to be one more storm? Yes, there is, and it looks like the Protoss army is going to roll through here. Leta, I'm a little bit confused. He had like, 10 or 12 ghosts, and I saw maybe 4 EMPs go off in that entire engagement. Am I like the only one? Can somebody like confirm that I'm not just completely blind and missing all of these EMPs? Because I could have sworn he did not really EMP that quickly. I mean, he was, I guess he was losing energy on his cloak. He looked like he was sniping some of the Colossi or something, but I mean, it's like 4 EMPs on 10 ghosts. He's got to have more than that, right? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not, man. Maybe Protoss is just way too imbalanced. It's just Imba, guys. All right, somebody called Dustin Browder. We have video evidence of Protoss being imbalanced. Go. Anyway, the orbital here, the 6 o'clock, going to get taken down once again. Look at this. Flying just ignoring the army there. He's just like letting the Zealots attack move and just like killing random stuff here. He might not even get that command center. No, he does get it. And wow, look at all the Archons rolling in. That is way too much stuff. Leta down to like 50 supply against the max Protoss. He is completely dead here. So it looks like Flying's actually going to take the first game against Leta. A bit unfortunate, Leta being such a cutie. But, well, there we go. GG from Leta. And Flying takes game number 1. Puts Stars in a decent position here. Leta not too happy about this. That's alright, Leta. You're still prettier than Flying in a dress. So at least you have that going for you. And hopefully the VLC stream stabilizes a little bit more. Or somebody, I don't know. I'm gonna look for an HD reason.